Welcome everyone to Monday Morning Morons for June 24th, 2019. This week, let's begin with homeschooling and why it's on the rise. Interestingly enough, even more parents say they would homeschool if they could. But of course, government regulation makes that difficult and expensive to do, so they can't. But why is it on the rise anyway? Perhaps because of shit like this from our northern neighbors. Ottawa teacher, there is no such thing as girls and boys. No such thing. Not the gender is different than biological sex argument anymore. Not the gender is a social construct shit we keep hearing. Not gender is totally chosen by the individual and can be changed on a whim insanity they've taken up more recently. No. Boys and girls simply don't exist. It's not a thing at all. Biology, psychology, shit, reality, nope, gone. None of that is a real thing. The parents of a 6-year-old Ottawa girl have filed a complaint with the Human Rights Tribunal because of her teacher's odd ideas on gender theory. Good. They should. And that teacher should be barred from brainwashing kids younger than 35. I won't say teaching because that's not what she's doing here. She's just brainwashing kids with ideology, not teaching. According to the Post-Millennial, Jason and Pamela Buffone, acting for their daughter N, are taking an Ottawa Carleton District School Board to the tribunal. They are alleging discrimination on the basis of gender and gender identity in the contravention of the Human Rights Code. But wait, N doesn't identify as transgender or anything else besides the little girl she is. According to the website, in January 2018, her grade 1 class at Devonshire Community Public School were made to watch a YouTube video as part of a lesson plan on gender. The title, He, She, and They? Gender. Queer kid stuff. Oh, for fuck's sake. And now we know where Lindsay gets her audience. Kids who are forced to watch her psychotic bullshit masquerading as education. This should get the teacher not only fired, but banned from teaching ever again. Queer kids' horse crap is not an educational tool. It's a bullshit peddling show with a hostage toy who can't escape the psycho trying and failing to be funny, hip, and informative. This is why queer kid stuff is so dangerous. It's being used to brainwash, confuse, alienate, and railroad children with bullshit they don't understand and are not ready to learn about. This is what you're doing to kids, you sadistic psychopaths. Knock it off. Post-Millennial said the video contained statements like, some people aren't boys or girls, and they don't feel like she or he. And how they feel is irrelevant. They are a boy or a girl. That's life. That's the real fucking world. And I'm sorry if you don't like it, but you do not get a choice in that shit. You are a boy or a girl the moment the sperm hits the egg and cell division begins. Bam! Your sex is set in that newly formed DNA. Now you can express whatever the hell gender or made-up imaginary bullshit you want. But whether you claim to be a non-binary unicorn or not doesn't change the fact that you are a boy or a girl. That's all there is. One or the other. The unnamed teacher apparently kept driving the issue with her class of 6-year-olds. The teacher reportedly told the kids, there's no such thing as girls and boys, and girls are not real, and boys are not real. Those are the two things that are real, you fruitcake. Demi-gray adepto andro fluid nutcase is not a real thing. It's imaginary horse shit made up by someone desperate to feel like they are special. That's quite literally all it is. They're still just boys or girls. Now supposing we bought into the teacher's delusion and believed all this shit. Just for the sake of argument, let's all agree, for the next couple of minutes anyway, there is no such thing as a boy and there's no such thing as a girl. Okay? They don't exist. Now then, what's the gender wage gap you non-gendered possibly humans keep bitching about? What's the supposed pink tax? How exactly are girls being oppressed by boys when neither exists? What's toxic masculinity? What's feminine mean? No such things. Can't be. There are no boys or girls to perform these things, so how do we know which gender does which thing and shame them for it? You see the problem with your crazy shit yet? It's meaningless babble. Not only is it in direct contradiction to the physical world and therefore easily refuted, but it's not even internally consistent. The bullshit you keep making up today completely destroys the bullshit you made up yesterday. You can't follow your own made-up crap. Hell, half the time you idiots can't even define it. With new transgender policy, Morehouse won't clarify what living as a man means. You see what I mean? The people who wrote it won't define it. The school won't define it. Various other transgender activist organizations contacted can't define it because everyone sees the trap. They can't define that without contradicting some other made-up horse shit they hold near and dear to their little empty hearts. So they continue to spew meaningless woo, buzzword after buzzword, in the hopes of baffling you with so much flowery bullshit that you never realize what they're telling you contradicts the other shit they're telling you. It's all just words to incite the outrage mob and force everyone to submit to the Borg. And on college campuses, it's working. Most college grads say campus climate prevents them from expressing beliefs. Now, I know the so-called progressive folks are super fucking happy about that. You know, yay, bigots can't hurt my fifis with words or thoughts I don't like. Victory! Wrong. Defeat. The people with supposedly bad ideas can't express those ideas, so you don't know about them, and those ideas are never challenged. Which means they go right on believing those bad things you don't want them to believe, and you end up with more ignorant extremists. Now, I know what you dolts are thinking. But we're out here every day challenging fascists. No, you aren't. You're out there screaming at or over people. You're out there assaulting people. You're out there acting just like the brown shirts you claim everyone else is. You're silencing people, not challenging them. You're not defeating them when you do that. You're just making more of them because you look like the cowards. You are afraid you can't refute their ideas. You're afraid that your ideas aren't convincing enough to persuade people. And you should be, because they aren't. But that's not the point I'm making. People convinced by faulty or bad rhetoric don't hear opposing sides because you keep trying to silence everyone. Take all this so-called progressive identity politics shit you bozos keep repeating. My best tool for refuting all of your bullshit? You. Just let you talk, and sooner or later, usually sooner because you morons can't help it, but sooner or later, you say something so stupid that even your supporters look at you and say, "What the fuck?" Or you contradict yourselves. It's very difficult to be consistent for very long when you're just making shit up as you go. And that is all you morons are doing. Manufacturing new victim narratives by the minute to fuel your desperate need to be seen as something special. Well, sorry fruitcakes, you're not special. 99.9% of you will pass through history without leaving a mark at all. You will live, die, and 5, maybe 10 years later, no one will even remember you were here. That sucks, but that's life. Most of us are not special, and never will be. For every Socrates, there are hundreds of millions of people you've never heard of and never will. Like it or not, you are not going to be the next great thinker who leads us into a new enlightenment. Especially since you don't think at all anyway. All right, toxic masculinity time, Bob. Woman convicted of killing abducted Indiana woman in 1988. Well, kind of a cold case, but all right. A jury has convicted a woman of murder in the 1988 beating death of a pregnant mother abducted while walking her dog in northern Indiana. The jury found 56-year-old Barbara Brewster guilty of killing 28-year-old Miriam Rice of South Bend following a 3-day trial. Rice's body was discovered at Pembroke Lagoon, about 2 miles from her home, with multiple skull fractures. An autopsy showed she was 4 months pregnant at the time. She also had a 3-year-old son. Brewster's son testified against his mother during the trial. Robert South was 6 in 1988 and said he watched his mom beat Rice to death. A co-defendant, Brewster's former boyfriend, 77-year-old George Kearney, pleaded guilty in March and died in the St. Joseph County Jail of cancer while awaiting sentencing. Well, well, would you look at that? Fucking toxic male ratting out his own mother. Men are just so low, aren't they? There's just nothing they won't stoop to in order to oppress the poor, helpless whammon folks, huh? All right, Bob, give us a laugh to start the week off right. Authorities, Alabama man fed meth to caged attack squirrel. An attack squirrel. The guy was protecting his apartment with an attack squirrel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the squirrel wasn't the only one getting a bit of meth. That's it for this week, folks. Remember the social justice mantra: women are victims, men are oppressors, and feminism is just about equality. I'll see you all next time.